Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth, the study of truth. Opposite to that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie or imagination. आज हम लोग जानेंगे भारतीय नौसेना के कठोर कदम और अमेरिकी नौसेना की का भी हम थोड़ा सा संज्ञान लेंगे, उनके बारे में जानेंगे कि व्हाट इज अमेरिकन नेवी डूइंग, रशियन नेवी, all these navies are working with India. Why? और आपको ये बात भी बता दूं कि स्ट्रेंथ इनवाइट्स स्ट्रेंथ. अगर आप मजबूत हैं तो आपके साथ मजबूत लोग ही जुड़ेंगे. अगर आप कमजोर हैं तो कमजोर लोग ही जुड़ेंगे. तो भारतीय नौसेना दुनिया की चौथी सबसे बड़ी नौसेना है, चौथी. और आप लोग जो अपना करियर बनाना चाहते हैं नौसेना में, आपके लिए बहुत अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं जो भारत में है. भारतीय नौसेना आप जुड़ सकते हैं और उनके साथ अपना करियर बना सकते हैं. So without delay, let us welcome Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha ji. Namaste and welcome to the show.
Namaskar Adiji and to all your viewers, and wish them a very, very good day today on a Wednesday.
Yes, and then Ganesh festival is going on. So now it has just started.
गणेश चतुर्थी की भी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं आप सबको.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. तो आज बताइए कि INS Arighat has joined. मैंने आपके वीडियोस देखे बहुत सारे, and I'm particularly interested in, and you are in naval aviation, and INS Arighat has joined, and everyone is noticing that in the world. I saw 3 American reports on INS Arighat, and they all rejected it. They said it's a very small submarine for us. But how do you see INS Arighat? Because nuclear submarine is not small, whether it's a small capability or big capability. How do you see INS Arighat changing Indian Navy's influence? कैसे दिखता है आपको?
Well, thank you for getting me on your show once again, Adiji. Uh, Now, let me begin with saying that when it comes to nuclear weapons, India has the policy of no first use, meaning that we will not drop the bomb on any country. We will not be the first one to drop. Now, it means that only if somebody drops the bomb on us that we will respond. So this is in effect is a second strike, if you like. The first strike has been done by the adversary, and second strike is that from us, so that we respond to the nuclear weapon by a nuclear weapon. Now, how can you respond? You can respond by using land-based silos, which are dug into the earth, and nuclear missiles are kept there. Every country does it, and from there it can be launched. Second way to launch it, that you load it on an aircraft goes and drops it in the territory that you want. Like for India, Su-30 can do it, Rafale can do it. So what happens in case जो आपके एडवर्सरी हैं उनको वो जगह मालूम है जहां आपके साइलोज हैं, क्योंकि तो जमीन के ऊपर है, खुफिया लोग तो ये काम ही करते हैं, दे विल फाइंड आउट. एंड सपोज दे ड्रॉप द बॉम्ब on a place where these silos are, or drop it on an airfield where these aircraft are parked to respond. So that leaves only credible second strike, the third leg of the triad, as they call it, land-based, air-based, and sea-based, is by a submarine. Now, submarine is by nature it is stealth. It operates below the surface of water, and it cannot be detected easily. Nuclear submarine can also do very high speed, 23, 24 knots, and it can change its position. So many years ago, when we made the nuclear bomb, Indian government decided that we will have the second strike capability because our declared policy is no first use. If there is no first use, it doesn't mean that you keep accepting nuclear attack on your people and destroy the country. So you got to respond. You're a big country or a reasonably powerful country. So India, DRDO and Navy, they decided to make the nuclear submarine armed with nuclear missiles so that we could respond. There's a series of these submarines will be built. The first one was Arihant, which you had covered in one of your programs, not at the time of launch, but as an interest to the audience. Now, this is the second in the series, is the INS Arighat, second nuclear submarine. So now we have two. It means that even if one is down for some R&R or crew change, the second one can remain on task. As you know that it can launch almost 12 uh, nuclear missiles, and I believe by a press report I gather that they are of 750 kilometers range. However, this one, the second nuclear one, also has the ability, in case it doesn't carry so many 750 kilometer range missile, it can carry four missiles of much larger ranges. How much is that? Honestly I won't know because I've been out of the Navy for a long time. So we are coming to a stage where the outermost boundary of our two adversaries, namely Pakistan and secondly China, possibly, if it becomes that bad, it can reach the other end of their geographical boundary. So gradually, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, some point in time, which is not very far, the submarine will be able to carry the Agni 5 missile, which is 4,000 plus kilometers. And that will be carried by obviously slightly bigger nuclear submarine, little more powerful submarine. So these are series production. So what we have done is, now a nuclear submarine or nuclear weapon, second strike capability is not meant to be used. It is meant to deter a country which is possessing the atomic weapon from using it on India. They will have to think twice कि अगर मैंने इसको मारा तो ये जो है सबमरीन से कहीं से भी मारकर हमारे पूरे देश को तबाह कर सकता है और हमें पता भी नहीं लगेगा कि कहां से कौन मार के चला गया. सो न्यूक्लियर वेपन जो है आदि जी, it is a deterrence. It deters a war. Okay, it is not meant to attack. So I would say that it's a deterrence weapon, and we hope that we don't have to ever use it. So that is what the background of this missile is. I'll
आप,
go
आप
ahead.
आपके बहुत सारे डिस्कशन मैंने देखे हैं अभी रिसेंटली, और सबसे मुझे एक बात लगी, मुझे कि दर्शकों को भी पता लगना चाहिए जो देख रहे हैं वीडियो शोज, कि हम लोग धर्मो रक्षति रक्षिता की बात करते हैं कि अगर हम तो धर्म की रक्षा के लिए काम करेंगे, लेकिन कभी कभी मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि भारतीय फॉरेन पॉलिसी जो है एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन नेशन स्टेट के कॉन्सेप्ट पे काम करती है. दैट इज ओके. हमारा मानसिक क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव है और दूसरे क्या काम करते हैं, लेकिन जो इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड डील्स हैं वो मिलिट्री स्ट्रेंथ पे चलती हैं. विच एवर कंट्री इज इकोनॉमिकली एंड मिलिटरली स्ट्रांग, उसका एक अपर स्टेज रहता है, अपर हैंड रहता ही है किसी भी डील में, ऑन टॉप ऑफ एवरीथिंग एल्स गोइंग ऑन. तो एक मैं ये भी देख रहा था कि इसमें इंडियन मेड सोनार लगा हुआ है इस पनडुब्बी में, एंड इंडिया के पास अटैक सबमरीन, न्यूक्लियर अटैक सबमरीन्स नहीं है जैसे लॉस एंजलिस क्लास की हैं. बहुत बड़ी बड़ी सबमरीन्स होती है लॉस एंजलिस क्लास की, क्योंकि यहाँ पे सैंडिगो मैंने देखी है वो, तो उसमें दे डोंट हैव द न्यूक्लियर अटैक सबमरीन. उसका क्या प्लान है भारत के पास?
देखिए, न्यूक्लियर अटैक सबमरीन आपने ठीक कहा कि हमारे पास नहीं है, लेकिन उसकी प्रक्रिया अब शुरू होने वाली है. मेरे ख्याल से भारतवर्ष के जो कैबिनेट कमेटी है उनके पास ये प्रपोजल पड़ा हुआ है, किसी भी दिन वो अप्रूव हो सकता है. तो वो एक ऐसा सबमरीन होगा जो कि न्यूक्लियर प्रोपल्शन होगा, न्यूक्लियर पावर से चलेगा, बट इट विल हैव अ कन्वेंशनल वेपन. It will have this submarine launched cruise missiles, SLCM. Basically, it is meant for land targets and possibly for targets at sea which are at a particular distance, which does not require use of nuclear weapon. So ये होने वाला है. उसमें थोड़ा टाइम इसलिए लग रहा है कि हम हमारा मानना है कि उसके लिए हमें थोड़ा बहुत बड़ा रिएक्टर नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि उसका वेट लेस होगा. The missiles, the submarine launch cruise missiles are much lighter than the nuclear missiles. So as a result, we require a slightly smaller reactor. So effort is on to get the technology of small reactor, but India will find it difficult because US will not give it. Russia doesn't have a very credible small, uh, uh, small reactor. The French maybe, I don't know. French may, some talk will be going on. UK will never give it. So we are looking at these options. But if it doesn't work, then possibly we will have very similar reactor which is in the Arihant, and the submarine will be as big, except that because it is bigger, it will be used to keep more submarine launch cruise missiles. ये भी हो सकता है कि आप बड़ा बनाइए, उतना ही बड़ा बनाइए, और उसमें चूंकि आपके पास जगह बहुत है, तो आप उसको ज़्यादा मिसाइल कैरी कर सकते हैं. तो उस दिशा में काम होगा. हमारे ख्याल से अप्रूवल या तो होने वाला है या हो गया है, क्योंकि इन चीज़ों का थोड़ा ऑलवेज रैप्ड अंडर some kind of confidentiality, rightly so, because if nobody is sharing the technology of a small reactor for a submarine which will be slightly smaller than we have this 6-7 thousand ton submarine, if it doesn't work, we'll use the same reactor because we have the ability to make it. हम बना सकते हैं. अभी जो अरिघात है उसके अंदर जो है वो हमारे बाबा एटॉमिक रिसर्च सेंटर की बनाए हुए, एटॉमिक एनर्जी कमीशन का बनाया हुआ है. तो दैट इज द वे वी विल गो, बट वी नीड इट. वी विल नीड इट.
तो अगर साइज का आपने बात किया न्यूक्लियर सबमरीन की, कितनी बड़ी होती है एज कम्पेयर टू इंडियन स्कॉर्पियन क्लास की सबमरीन से, कितनी बड़ी होगी अप्रोक्सीमेटली?
देखिए, स्कॉर्पियन क्लास जो है वो करीब 2,500 से 3,000 टन का उसका डिस्प्लेसमेंट के तौर पर नापा जाता है.
करेक्ट.
इसका मतलब है कि डिस्प्लेसेस सो मेनी टन्स ऑफ वाटर. So you assume that if it is displacing so many tons of water, then obviously the weight is about that much, so that water displacement can
इक्वल टू
support the submarine or a ship.
करेक्ट.
तो ये जो हमारा जो अरिहांत है, 6,000 tons, 7,000 tons, somewhere there, it is on that. So it is double the size of the Scorpion. Scorpion is a diesel. It requires a smaller space. इसमें बैटरी होती हैं, इसमें भी मिसाइल्स हैं, सबमरीन लॉन्च क्रूज मिसाइल्स हैं. बट द मेन एम ऑफ अ डीजल सबमरीन, एक्चुअली स्पीकिंग, इज टू ऑपरेट इन शैलो वाटर्स. शोर के नज़दीक एंटी सबमरीन, कोई हमारे ऊपर शिप से कोई अटैक करने के लिए कोई फ्लीट आ रही है, कुछ ऐसा होने वाला है, तो उसको हम लोग थोड़ा क्लोजर टू कोस्ट लाइन डिप्लॉय किया जाता है, जैसा कि अमेरिकन भी ऐसे ही करते हैं. हालांकि आपको याद होगा कि हमारा एक स्कॉर्पियन अभी यहाँ से ऑस्ट्रेलिया गया हुआ था पिछले साल, और इट मेड अ डायरेक्ट फ्रॉम फ्रॉम इंडिया टू ऑस्ट्रेलिया. तो इट कैन डू दैट. ओनली थिंग टेक्स टाइम बिकॉज अंडर वाटर स्पीड्स आर लेस. बट अ न्यूक्लियर सबमरीन, his underwater speeds are higher than on surface. It can do roughly 24 knots, which is almost 48 kilometers an hour. So which is quite. So that is about the size. It's fairly big. 6,000 tons is not small. 6-7 thousand tons, and it's almost 102 meters long. हमारे यहाँ 100 मीटर लंबा तो शिप होता है, तो समझ जाइए कितना बड़ा है. काफ़ी बड़ा है. तो उसको देखने के बाद ही पता लगता है कि ओ माय गॉड, एंड वी हैव मेड इट फुल्ली इंडिजिनसली. Nothing is imported in that. 100%. Nobody will give you anyway. It's a very sensitive technology.
My personal question, have you seen one of these? Or you must have seen them.
Answer is yes. I was still in service when the first one was being built. But there also, uh, first of all, for many years, nobody in the Navy knew that it was going on. Till Admiral Talyani, when he was the Chief of Naval Staff, he declared it in Staff College talk. I was doing the Staff College in 1986. And there some American student asked him that I believe that India is making a nuclear submarine. He was a Marine Corps officer, a major. So he said, yes, what your word is right, and inshallah, we should have it operational by so and so year. Of course, it didn't get operational by that particular year because there were too many hurdles, but we had it. And one could not visit where it was being built without a specific clearance from the naval headquarters as to why is so and so going, what is his interest. So I went only when I became the commander in chief. When I became the fleet commander, commander in chief, I was an official visit. I I also had to take a clearance. I took a clearance and I went. Because the commander in chiefs are the ones who will deploy the submarines. Uh, those days, the nuclear command was just in nascent stage, so these boats were still with the navy. But now, the operational deployment of the nuclear submarine is done by the strategic force command. They are the ones who control all the nuclear forces, or both land-based and aircraft-based and submarine-based. They are the ones who take decision where it is to be deployed, where is the chances of less detection, and when should it respond. Because once it dives and goes, then very difficult to contact him because they will only get some coded message to launch. And for that also, if he receives the message, otherwise it goes by the prior orders. So that is what it is.
बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जो ग्लोबल डिप्लोमेसी अमेरिका की चलती है वो चलती है कि न्यूक्लियर सबमरीन्स पे चलती है कि कहाँ पे उसकी डिप्लॉयड है.
जी, जी। तो आपने सॉरी जस्ट लेट मी टेक यू बैक you mentioned that the American newspapers were reporting that it is quite small submarine. Yes, it compared to the American submarines, it is small. Because we feel that our threats, we are not a global power. US is worried about probably Russia or China launching a missile on the US mainland, 3,000, 4,000 kilometers. And then they have to respond from somewhere else. So they have to carry a much larger range of missile, and therefore it is much bigger. In fact, one of the first time I saw one of their nuclear missiles on surface while I was sailing on a ship called Talwar, and I just saw some contact on the radar, and I picked up my binocular and watching. My commanding officer asked me, "What is it?" I said, "Looks like an aircraft carrier." So he came and he saw it. He said, "Yeah, it's quite big, but let it come closer." And then we realized that it was the biggest nuclear ballistic missile submarine of the US. He had just come up on surface to probably say hello to the Indian Navy's fleet. That was, oh my God, that was in 1977, 78, I think.
Wow.
Long,
Yeah,
long back.
Ohio class, and these are very big submarines.
Ohio class. It was an Ohio class.
Ohio class is
Huge.
very big submarine, huge.
Yeah.
Because I closely, मेरा personal hobby, I monitor them. Or San Diego में I get a chance in the US.
You're sitting in San Diego, Adishi. You are, as it is, you have a lot of intelligence on all this.
नहीं, वो actually एक interest भी है सबका. So I have some
जी.
friends who took me on a tour to Los Angeles class submarine inside. It was like a five-star hotel for me inside. Uh,
Yeah.
it's like a big, very big, spacious. Means you can एक small level पे आप कुछ खेल भी सकते हैं. In there.
You see, the Western submarines, the concept, American, British, concept is that crew comfort should be maximum. For example, in Vietnam War, before the troops were paradropped, the fridge used to be paradropped, the beer cans used to be paradropped, and cheese and butter and ham used to be paradropped, and only then the troops used to come down. Whereas in Russian system, on which our whole thing is based at the moment, in Russian system, crew comfort, human comfort is the last priority. So you have to meet the task. How you live, how you survive is that doesn't take priority. But we have done some modifications by our experience. We are all kilo class. We have only Russian submarines so far, till we got the Scorpion. So and we had SSK from West Germany. I think three, four of them. I think Two of them were outrightly purchased, and two were built in Germany, and two were built here in India. And I think I just heard that possibly same company is likely to tie up with the Mazgaon Dock Limited in Bombay and make the follow-on of the Project 75, which will be called Project 75 India, India, 75I. Is a diesel submarine, but it will have the air independent propulsion, uh, meaning that you know it will have the fuel cells which will keep it going underwater for a long time. It doesn't have to surface every time to charge the battery, because the batteries have to be very strong when it is underwater. The diesel engine doesn't work, doesn't have air, so it runs on battery. So all these submarines carry very huge battery cells, and AIP, in addition to the battery, they have got these fuel cells, and they are the ones who keep slowly burning and keep moving. So that doesn't require outside air really.
Now, for the first time, I understood why AIP is needed. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that. मुझे भी
You
पता
can
नहीं.
have a lot longer underwater endurance, so that the submarine doesn't have to come too close to surface to breathe air for the diesel engine, run the diesel engine, and that engine charges the battery, right? So you want to avoid that, because in that time the submarine is vulnerable to detection and attack. So you don't want that to happen. That is why AIP. In fact, we have our own AIP now. The DRDO has developed it. Has already been tried out, and inshallah the Scorpion, which has already gone. I think last one or last two are supposed to get modified with the Indian AIP. Let's see what happens.
अच्छा, हम लोग कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी लेते हैं, बहुत अच्छे अच्छे क्वेश्चंस भी हैं लोगों के.
Hmm.
We'll do that. एक विराम सिंह का एक कोट है, इंडियन न्यूक्लियर पुलिस नाउ इज नेवर से नेवर. आई डोंट नो व्हाट यू मीन विराम सिंह जी, so I don't understand this question. जय श्री राम. एक साइबेरियन हंस के क्वेश्चन है, व्हाई नॉट मोर एंड मोर सबमरीन्स देन एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर्स.
Well, the it's a good question. Uh, the each type of class of ship or submarine has its own function. Submarine is a good deterrence. Okay, you have to hide. It's a defensive weapon. Okay, you can use it for offense, but by and large you are protecting something. Okay, the aircraft carrier is by and large an offensive weapon. The Navy also has a large number of peacetime roles. 97, 98% times the navies are deployed in peacetime role. And Indian Ocean is a big ocean. We have many countries in the Indian Ocean, and they need human assistance, disaster relief. They require a naval support to get over their own military type of problems. Mercenaries, change of guard, etc., etc. So all other countries which are much smaller, not so capable, they look up to India, and the visible force for a force projection is the aircraft carrier. Okay, it takes the it gives the commander the flexibility of shifting the theater of war to a different place. In one day it can move by about 600 nautical miles. Okay, so whereas a nuclear submarine will obviate the requirement of having too many submarines, right? If you have two, three of them deployed, you are okay. What you require is diesel submarine for the, to be applied, to be deployed in shallow water. If you have heard me talking in the beginning, so in shallow water, it has got more of anti-submarine role, anti-ship role, right? It can detect ships from a distance and fire a torpedo. When you don't go and fire in open sea. Obviously, you will fire, when you feel that the enemy's ship has already come in your area from where it can carry out an attack on the land, or it can carry out destroy the naval infrastructure. Then you use these submarines to detect them and fire at them. So I would say that navies are a very complex service. They have all kinds of roles and they require different platforms. We also have amphibious ships. How do you land the marines in islands? How do you land the army in the islands? How do you, land the troops? How do you support an operation in an island? Let's say we have a lot of islands, we have 530 odd islands. So let's say that somebody has come and sat on that island. How do you evict him? How do you drop your troops there? So we have amphibious ships. We have army attached to the navy. We require aircraft because over the sea, air defense is required by the fleet. To protect your fleet ships from being targeted by land-based air force aircraft of the other country. Or the maritime patrol aircraft also carry missiles these days, which can be fired on a ship. How do you protect yourself? You intercept those aircraft by having a fighters on board aircraft carrier. So, they're like oranges and apples. Submarine can't do aircraft carrier job, aircraft carrier can't do submarine. Yes, your point is right that if you have limited money, like India is growing, we're not a very rich country. We are the fifth largest economy, not the first and the second or third. So what happens is then you have to prioritize. Which one shall I do first? Shall I make the aircraft carrier? Shall I make the submarine? Can I make both together? So these are the decisions which the political masters have to take because they are the ones who know what kind of money can be mustered. And mind you, when you make these things indigenously, you don't have to pay the entire money in one shot. You can, distribute it over 10 years. So 10 years, 10,000 crore every year, it makes 100,000 crore. Not a big deal for a country, right? For a country like India. But if you have to pay 100,000 crores in two shots, then you will go broke. You will not have that kind of money. So, as I said, that you are, good question. And I would say that if there is a shortage of money, then we are looking at prioritization of the platform. And that is a very tough task for the politicians and the naval planners and armed forces planners. That is why the Chief of Defense Staff's office is very important because he's got the overall picture of all three services and he realizes the threats is all threat based. What kind of threat we are likely to face? What kind of platforms will be required? For example, the navies can support a land war. You can position your ships on the coastline, not very close, depending upon how far your missiles can reach, let's say 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers. So you can position your ships in that area and, you know, launch your missiles in an area where the enemy troops are, collected in one place and about to attack your people, or they have been fighting against your troops and your troops are under a lot of pressure. So you have to relieve the pressure of the army. The navy support is extremely important. Air force, what it will do, it has to cross the boundary. Only then it is effective. What does the army do? It makes sure that nobody else crosses the boundary. The navy doesn't have a boundary. Navy has freedom of operation at sea, except that the warship should not be going inside the territorial waters, which is 12 nautical miles, roughly 18 kilometers. Right? So, not 18, sorry, about 20,
21
12,
kilometers.
20, 18, roughly. Okay, 20, 24, 24, yeah, about that much, almost double. So, the point is that the Navy in support of land warfare is a very classic battle, which the Americans practice it every now and then. They use the aircraft carrier after the Marines were landed in Afghanistan or Iraq for aerial bombing, also to support their Marines and the troops so that they don't come under fire from the enemy. What is close air support? All navies do this close air support, those who have aircraft carriers. We do close air support. In the US that does it for the Marines, we do it for our infantry, which has been landed ashore, and they are our amphibian troops. They don't belong to the Navy. We don't have a Marine force, but it belongs to the Army. But they're especially trained for this.
Uh, Actually, a question है इंडियन नापो का. Sir, how many India needs subs to deter China?
Well, these are a little hypothetical question, I would
Correct.
say, because you know. Uh, I mean, if you go to China, China has about 60 diesel submarines. or 10 or 12 nuclear powered SSNs. It's got 4 SSBNs, that is the nuclear powered and nuclear tipped missile. So, but let me also tell you that our threat from China is not doing all this to attack India or to take India's sort of pants off. It is mainly against the US. It wants to establish its supremacy over the US, both economically and militarily. Economically, it will because of the size of that country. But the per capita income may ever never become same as you people in America have. Because your population is less and there is enough money. So per capita income is much higher. So therefore the in fact US per capita income is not the highest in the world. It is sixth or seventh. Highest per capita income is probably Norway, Denmark, Sweden, or some one of the Scandinavian countries, and Ireland. That's a very rich country. People are rich. So it's very difficult. For example, when we had, when you have shortages, for example, at the moment the plan is to build, let us say, 12 diesel submarines, right? 5 or 510 and 5 and 611. But what will happen that slowly the kilo class submarines will start getting decommissioned, right? So you can take it for granted that normal submarine, not the nuclear submarine, normal submarine, you can say that 25% will be always under some kind of repair, right? So if you have 20, then you take out one fourth, five of it will be always. All of them couldn't be sailing. Some of them will be on task. Some of them will be in the harbor to get the missiles loaded and torpedoes loaded and all that. So it will be in transit. So if you say in a sustained warfare, it's quite difficult to pin down how many submarines we will need because again it is directly related to what is the threat perception of that country. And times have passed. I left that service quite some time back. So the current generation of officers, they do the assessment depending upon the developments of this navy of other countries in the vicinities who are likely to be adversaries, and therefore how much of firepower they can bring it on you, bear upon you, and what kind of firepower you will require to respond to that. Because we don't start a war. We don't. We always respond to calamity. So I would say that it's very difficult for me to really to give you a picture and some that will not be right. Not be right for me to make an estimate.
एक्चुअली आपने बहुत ही सही, बिकॉज इट इज़ ए वेरी हाइपोथेटिकल क्वेश्चन, डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट यू नीड। सही बोला आपने, बताया उसको। सिद्धि विनायक जी का क्वेश्चन है, सर आत्मनिर्भर भारत में ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, वेपन माफिया का मार्केट बन रहे हैं हम, वेपन माफिया का। और एक और इनका क्वेश्चन है, यूएसए का कुछ फोटो वायरल हुआ था ड्रोन टाइप वाटर सबमरीन का, क्या उसका फ्यूचर ही वॉर में ड्रोन का कोई तोड़ नहीं मिल रक्षा को भी?
देखिए विनायक जी, आत्मनिर्भर में नहीं हो रहा है, आई डोंट एग्री विद दैट। दैट्स an incorrect statement. We have already crossed 27,000 crores of export of weapon sensors to other countries. All ships are made in India, not from now, for a long time. The two ships which are in right now in the shipyards of Russia, they were ordered almost 15 years back. It has not been delivered, but I think the last two will be delivered. Because the problem came, it had the engine, what's called the Zarya. And Zarya, after the separation of all countries from the Soviet Union, it is in Ukraine. And Ukraine and Russia relations have not been the best. So Ukraine just refused to give the engine. So we had a ready ship, but didn't have an engine. Anyway, some agreement has been signed with India, etc., long quite some time back, before this big war started. And now those ships are, I believe they're ready. They should be handed over, and they will be here. But on ships, we are completely Atmanirbhar. On aircraft, we have started making the Tejas, as you know. We make our own tanks. We make our own artillery guns. We make our own armor-piercing vehicles. We make our own missiles. I just mentioned about some of the missiles. We are exporting missiles. We have made something in collaboration with the Russians, something we are making independent, something we are making again in collaboration with the French. Because Americans are very sort of reserved about sharing these technologies for whatever reason. And to be very honest, the reliability on the American manufacturers, it depends on as to which administration is there, either the Republican or Democrats, and what is the policy. With the president change, there is a policy change, and a lot of things depend on those interactions. So obviously, the it's a geopolitical tool, and therefore we have started rapidly making our own. If you come to India, I will organize your visit to the places where this Atmanirbhar Bharat is going. Yeah, everything we don't. We are still looking for high end electronic gadgets. The sonar boys and sonar system is our own, by the way. The sonar is the sound operated navigation and range. This is the submarine finding equipment fitted on our ships and our submarines. It's made by, built, designed by an Indian naval engineer and developed by DRDO and manufactured by Bharat Electronics Limited. And it is one of the best sonars in the world. If you give me a choice, I have used it on my ships that I have commanded. I have said I don't require anything else. Detection in Indian waters is phenomenal. The American and Russians are not as good. Obviously, because we have taken the hydrology of Indian waters. As you know, that Indian Ocean salinity is very high. The salt content is very high. And therefore, the propagation of sound becomes little difficult. It does not reach that far. It meets the resistance from the salt in the water. And therefore, some specific technique has been developed by this naval. By the way, he is now a professor emeritus in Stanford for quite some time. The Professor Paul Raj, Dr. Paul Raj. He was a
I,
commodore in the Navy.
I would love to invite him to our channel if you can
You
connect.
get in touch with him, he'll come.
या आप उनका कनेक्शन है तो मुझे इंट्रोड्यूस करिए
I will.
उनसे
I will. I don't have it offhand, but I can organize that. Not a problem.
प्लीज. अच्छा, आपने बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात बोली. द सॉल्ट कंटेंट ऑफ इंडियन ओशन इज वेरी हाई, यू सेड. एंड वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर मी क्योंकि मैं आई एम ए रिसर्चर ऑन महाभारत एंड रामायण. सो सो इट सेज कि जम्बू द्वीप इज सराउंडेड बाय क्षीर सागर व्हिच इज वेरी सॉल्टी. वेरी एक्यूरेट डिस्क्रिप्शन एक्चुअली महाभारत में.
Absolutely.
And and so if you since you have sailed all over the world, which oceans you think the salt water, how is the salt water around Africa?
Well, the part of Indian Ocean, the eastern side.
On the other side, you're saying.
On the other side is less. Atlantic and Pacific. Atlantic is got very clear water. It doesn't have any salt. Very little.
Oh, wow. And Pacific?
Pacific, I would say it would rate between Indian Ocean and Atlantic.
Achha. Very important information for me. You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
triggered
very
so
important.
many thoughts.
Yeah, so many. That is how the submarine's effectiveness or ship's ability to find a submarine depends on the sonar system.
Ah,
पानी के नीचे साउंड वेव्स कितनी जल्दी कहाँ तक ट्रैवल कर सकते हैं. अगर वो गेट रेजिस्टेड बाय द सॉल्ट कंटेंट तो कम दूरी तक जाएगी वो ट्रांसमिशन. अगर उसको पेनिट्रेट कर सकते हैं तो ज़्यादा दूरी तक जाएगी. तो हमारा जो हमसा न्यू जनरेशन सोनार है, practically we have found, and when we go to Pacific and Atlantic, it's a phenomenal range. You can pick up the Australian submarine from 30 odd 40 kilometers.
wow.
It's a hell of a lot.
Wow.
Okay.
अच्छा, एक क्वेश्चन है इनका, धीरज सुदान जी का है. एंड सर, क्या S5 क्लास प्रोजेक्ट लेट हो गया है जिसकी वजह से आज हरियंत सबमरीन बनाई जा रही है?
No, it is not true. The अरिहंत क्लास जो है उसका अलग प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, उसका अलग लाइन है. और जो S5 की आप बात कर रहे हैं, दैट इज द वन दैट आदि जी हैड आस्क्ड मी इनिशियली, जो कि थोड़ा बड़ा सबमरीन होगा, क्योंकि उसमें जो मिसाइल होंगी वो ज़्यादा लंबी दूरी तक अग्नि 5 वालों की मिसाइल होगी. तो अग्नि 5 मिसाइल का रेंज आपको पता है, इट्स 4500 प्लस, आई वुड से 5000 किलोमीटर. और सबमर्ज प्लेटफॉर्म से ट्रायल उसकी ऑलरेडी हो चुकी है एक दो. यू नो, इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट, हाउ मेनी मिसाइल्स हैव टू बी फायर्ड, देर ऑल लेट डाउन बिफोर यू डिक्लेयर इट ऑपरेशनल. So it will match. Agni 5 is now get almost ready, and therefore, hopefully, the S5 approval doesn't require that approval exists, and I believe that the work is on. Though Arihant class का तीसरा missile, the nuclear submarine, मेरे ख्याल से within 6 months it will get commissioned, because two lines were being running almost together, Arighat and Aridhaman or whatever its name is.
अरिंदम, आई थिंक समथिंग लाइक
Arindam,
दैट.
okay.
विराम सिंह जी बोल रहे हैं कि what kind of purpose can Saint Martin Island of Bangladesh can serve the US Navy?
Well, to be very honest, it's a very small island. I don't think that, except for keeping some troops there, I suspect it's only 5 square kilometers. I'm not sure if it can have any big base or something like that. Maybe it can have a monitoring radar station or something like that. So I would say that except for being present or maybe supporting some logistic unit when the American ships are in that area and anchored in that area, some logistic support can be given from that island. You can have a presence really, but it's not an island which is can be of very operational use. It can support an operation, I guess. I have seen that island, and it's quite small really. It's
But
very
should
small.
India allow it? What do you say?
Well, it's in the territorial water of Bangladesh. What does India have to do? I mean, Bangladesh is a sovereign country. It's a different issue that right now it is going through a lot of turmoil. And Madam Sheikh Hasina said that it is because of that, because she refused to give it to US. So she suspects that US has committed this crime of has done the takhta palat in Bangladesh.
Uh,
So these are all again geopolitical questions, which possibly Adiji can call me the next time.
yes. Last question in this one, unless someone has a good question. Uh, why the delay in spite having the highest brain? Which delay you're talking about? I don't know. Understand Harish Tyagaraji, because I don't think so. There is a delay. Uh,
No, he may be talking about the submarines only, I guess. Is
uh,
that correct, Harishji?
yeah, I think we can assume that. I think he's not commenting. Yes.
Okay. I get it's all to do with money. It's all money, honey. So if you don't have money, all your projects slow down, you see.
You know,
So no the reason. Because
actually,
you have to so much, you see, you are given a particular amount. I'm sorry, for a particular budget head. Navy is given so much money. Okay. And then and then you use it very intelligently in number of schemes that you're running. It's not the only scheme. You have too many ships. There are 46 ships under built in India at various stages. So they have to be given stage payments at some stage. When so much is done, then the Indian warship overseeing team, which is posted in the dock shipyard, they go and examine and see that is it meeting those QRs. So they are like inspectors. Once they clear it, then naval headquarters, okay, abhi 15% आप और ले लो. So that is all spelled out in the contract. Even if it is a government company, the contract has to run as per the law. गवर्नमेंट कंपनी है, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप पैसे रखे रह जाओ. बनाएगा कैसे भाई, उसको तो खर्च करना है.
yeah,
दूसरा
because
क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा था एमका के बारे में. Why the एमका well, why it is not progressing as per a direct PMO like nuclear submarine, that the I would think that the maybe Indian Air Force did not push it too hard, possibly. Otherwise, we have taken indigenization to our heart in the 60s. We started building our first ship. It was a small one, was a 64. And in early 70s, we started making the Leander class frigates under a design transfer from UK. Now every ship is designed. We have a naval design bureau manned by the naval engineers who are experts of naval architecture. In fact, now the IIT Delhi has got an naval architecture department headed by a naval officer. Of course, they're all PhDs. They teach. MTech degree given in IIT Delhi, quite always full. because most of the shipyards now who build ships, they have to design their own ships, so they require these designers. So there are a lot of civilians who are in design bureaus of those shipyards, because now you got two, three civilian shipyards. Kittupalli, belongs to Larsen Chupro, right? Similarly, there is one more which I think Mr. Adani is going to make. He has bought it from Anil Ambani's company in where is that place? Pipavav port in Gujarat. So they have taken over that, and they are building Coast Guard ships now. So these are all very private organizations. They are not government has nothing to do with them. So is there one more question, Nadi ji? एक और आया
Yeah,
था.
yeah. Cycle का एक question है, but we have answered that in the last show. So go to the playlist of Admiral Shekhar Sinha ji and see in the last show. उन्होंने बड़ा clearly answer दिया था. No one can dominate Indian Navy in Indian Ocean.
Absolutely, no doubt. I mean, it's our back, it's our home. Anybody who comes here, he has to be supported. You will say, okay, बेस बनाया टिम्बकटू में, यहाँ बनाया वहाँ, और भाई साहब वहाँ बेस में आप उतना ही सामान रख सकते हो ना, लॉजिस्टिक सपोर्ट कर सकते हो. जहाज खराब हो गया, टूट गया, कैसे ठीक होगा? चाइना के तो दोस्त भी नहीं है ना कोई, पाकिस्तान छोड़ के. इसलिए वो पाकिस्तान में इतना क्रिएट कर रहा है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. Pakistan now, I have said it earlier in this program, much to discomfort of many people in US and Pakistan, that Pakistan is actually Pakistan autonomous region of China. Okay, doesn't have any autonomy. So you can consider this as a vassal state, of China. And what is future of Pakistan? I think you were supposed to ask me this question,
Yes.
Adiji, but submarines have taken for a fairly long time. The future of Pakistan is quite difficult. Sorry, can I have time to
Yes,
speak?
please, please,
Okay.
please.
So, see, future of Pakistan is very difficult to predict. Every time we predict that Pakistan is going to disintegrate, it survives. It survives because the US does not want it to collapse. I'll be very honest. China doesn't want it to be collapsed, right? Because if you see economic problems, it has a massive economic problem, and it has got wanting a loan of almost $7 billion from IMF, and the chief of army staff had rushed off to China to reschedule the payments of the country because the civil people don't have any say in anything about defense and foreign policy. So that is one. The second problem is that there is a lot of unrest in Balochistan and Gilgit-Baltistan and POK. 70 people have died just in last week. Their army is being attacked. The Chinese engineers have been attacked. In Gilgit-Baltistan, there is a dharna for last 2-3 days that they are only being squeezed by taxes and this and that, and there is no facility. They say that sorry, we want to join the Indian Union. In POK, the people are so unhappy, hardly any development. He said this has only been used as a platform to launch terrorists. Now their own people are saying. I was watching a program of Pakistan TV, and the anchor was asking an expert. An expert says, the army is making this hoax कि हम कश्मीर ले लेंगे. अरे वो आपसे बात ही नहीं करना चाहता तो आप लीजिएगा क्या? आपको 370 पे बड़ा होप तब तो हटा दिया उन्होंने, है ना? और आप में वो कुवत है कि आप चला सकते हैं उस जगह को. So this is the discussion which is going on in Pakistan itself. So I am not that we don't want to see a broken Pakistan, really. We want to see a stable Pakistan next door. Otherwise, the criminal activities will increase. They will do more of this. The army will do more of this to justify their living. US had actually dropped them during Trump administration. But unfortunately, with the present administration in the last 2 years, I have seen that, they have again gone and hugged. General Munir went to US, Washington. I mean, who receives him? General Austin, Lloyd Austin. People already, shake hands with him as if he's a long lost friend. So this is this is a geopolitics. Why US is doing this? Possibly because there's too much of Chinese dominance there, right? But
एक्चुअली
Pakistan knows the tricks how to extract money from two countries at one time.
नहीं, पाकिस्तान का हालत तो मुझे दिखता है स्टेट डिपार्टमेंट में, उनके प्राइम मिनिस्टर को खड़े होने के लिए लाइन लगती है, 3-3 दिन का अपॉइंटमेंट लगता है उनको। दैट्स हाउ यू सी हाउ मच इम्पोर्टेंस इंडिया के पाकिस्तान के। Yes.
So, I would say that to be very honest from my heart, I would like to tell you that it is really living on donations from China. Everything is Chinese. All weapons, all platforms, all ammunition, all fighting aircraft, all submarine, everything is Chinese. Ships. The presence of Chinese people in Pakistan is a question of worry. There's so much of cultural difference. Eating habits. There are more Chinese restaurants in some cities in Pakistan than the Mughlai food. Is a fact. So when you have these cultural changes, you will have a uprising amongst the people, which is a bad news. Okay, people uprising is a bad news for any government. Who's the government there? Point is, who's the government? If there are terror attacks here, who should India speak to? There is a SCO meeting in Islamabad next month. All prime ministers have been invited, so has Mr. Modi will. Yesterday, our external affairs minister has made a statement that the process of uninterrupted talks with Pakistan is over. Finished. So we said now we will respond based on what you do. What you do, we'll respond accordingly.
मैं आपसे एक अलग शो करूंगा मैं इस बारे में, मैं बहुत सोच रहा था, लेकिन INS अरिघात का मेरा पर्सनल क्यूरियोसिटी था, तो आई थॉट आई विल डू दिस शो। मैं हाउ डज द इंडियन नेवी सी पाकिस्तान, कि लाइक फ्रॉम योर पर्सपेक्टिव हाउ डू यू सी पाकिस्तान, क्योंकि वो एक बड़ा आपका स्ट्रेंथ है वहाँ पे, एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू टेल अस, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान हमारे लिए एक बस मिलिट्री टारगेट बन के रह गया कि हमारी मिसाइल्स कहाँ कहाँ हिट करेंगी, एंड अमेरिका शुड बी रियली, State Department should correct their policies now. I'm saying in English so that everybody can understand. Pakistan, the strategy of breaking India through Pakistan is going to backfire on USA, big way. क्योंकि वो कंट्री ने पूरे दुनिया को टेरर एक्सपोर्ट किया है।
देखिए नवंबर के बाद क्या होता है, we don't know. If you have a Republican president, maybe the theory will change. Or if you have we have a Democrat president, so you people have to take a call now. Who do you want to be your president? That is up to the people in democracy. Other countries hardly have any choice.
I'm staying away from American politics this election completely because of my own personal failure on both parties. So I don't want to participate.
Yeah, but you have a large audience, you have a large following, Adiji. Just because you are doing it, it may not be true for everybody who's watching this.
No, I stay away because then it takes me away from my core topics. And also most of my American followers also want to do the same thing because they want me to stay away from American politics.
But next time I am in US, in Phoenix, you have to invite me.
I will personally drive down to bring you here. It's not very far.
Okay. Yeah. If you come, I'll come with you.
Yes.
And get me dropped by something, cab.
No. I will drop you back because Phoenix is not far from you. And I love that drive.
Okay. So I'll come and sit in the studio. You can do a podcast in studio.
Yes, in Phoenix and here too. And we can play golf in Sedona.
Yeah. And if you have people in Phoenix, Tempe.
Yes.
Tempe is where Raman is living right now.
Yes.
But hopefully he will probably shift closer to what is the town in southeast between Mesa and Tucson. Gilbert? No. Yeah, Gilbert is a city, no? Small city. So he's likely to shift there because his company, the Deloitte company's office is there only. So he wants to stay close because every day driving, coming back, basically a lot of petrol kharch bahut hota hai.
We'll talk in detail in private. I'll talk to you in private and we can do that.
So we can tie that up. And most likely, let's see, maybe his lease will expire with the present housing society. I think
We'll talk offline on this topic. Yes, we are live
months.
right now. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Thank you all very much for joining the show, and I'll see you in the next show. Namaste and thank you. Don't forget to
नमस्कार.
like, share, and
थैंक यू
subscribe.
फॉर वाचिंग एंड स्वस्थ रहें, खुश रहें और बस जीवन में अच्छा करते रहें जहाँ भी हैं.
Thank you. Jai Jagannath to all. Thank you.